Welcome to another episode of Juice Moose TV. Today we are going to be doing a little bit of step-by-step information on how to add the Spyder, poison Spyder louvers to this hood. I'm not doing this because they look cool, because I'd rather have the hood stock than cut up. I'm not doing this because my engine runs hot. I have an electric Flexolite fan. That's an upgrade that every Jeep should have if you actually go four-wheeling and you live in hot climates like I do, California, Arizona, where I wheel. I'm doing this because there's a massive dent right there, right above the brace. So rather than pulling this thing out and fighting it, I'm just going to put the louver kit on. Yeah, there's a dent right there. There's a little dent over here on this side, but otherwise the hood's pretty straight. I'll try to do step by step. I don't do fancy editing. I don't do fucking music. So if you like those types of videos, there's other ones out there. I believe this video might save you some time. Yes, the hood's already off the Jeep. The Jeep is right here. I'm rebuilding it. This is on another video that's not posted yet. Project Barbie Jeep, I'm calling it. You'll understand why later when you watch that video. But the next step is the hood here and the two dents on the side and doing the louver kit, just so I don't have to mess with that giant dent all the way across. Now that's actually my fault. I didn't have the hood locked down. I was driving the Jeep and I had a vacuum temperature gauge running hose from under the hood because I had purchased a piece of junk HDMI ignition distributor, from Sam's Off-Road, and it turns out it was a Chinese piece of shit. So it didn't work properly, and long story short, while driving it down the road about 10 miles an hour, the hood came up and smashed the window. So that's why the dent's there. So we're going to go ahead and put on the louver kit. It'll look kind of cool, I guess. And we'll paint the hood when I paint the rest of the Jeep. As you can see, the bodywork on it's all done. All right, and there's a kid's go-kart. So first step is take off the hardware. All right, so the next step, using a 3/8 ratchet, you can, or in my case, I use the air ratchet, take off that center hoop. These are 7/16 bolts. Take off each of those. That'd be your windshield hoops. And then go ahead and take off your side hardware as well. I'll probably be replacing all this stuff with something new. These are stock and old. Okay. The next step on your instructions say, cut this out. Has you punching fucking holes here. Before that, it has you lining up the existing loopholes. That makes sense to me, okay? That gives you the correct pattern. I don't really see a reason to cut the whole fucking piece of paper. And there's definitely no reason to drill these holes out. Okay, this is a complete waste of fucking time. What I'm gonna do is I'm gonna cut this out with scissors, all right? Lay it back down and go to the next step. But you can see I'm already saving a ton of fucking time. Ton of time. Alright, so I put some tape on it. It's still in the same exact spot. Again, I chose not to cut out the sides. I'm not saying don't follow the directions, okay? I'm not saying that. I'm just trying to save you time. Now, these holes right here are pretty much fucking useless. I'm going to go ahead and cut them out. I'm going to, but really they're fucking useless. And I will be following the standard cut line, not the optional. The optional takes you right over the brace, and I don't want to cut into the brace, although I won't, because I'm going to use a die grinder. I just don't want to fuck with it. And like I said, I'm not doing this because my engine runs hot, okay? My engine does not run hot. Not even close. I have a fan on mine. See? so she stays nice and cool. Come back to all that later. I'm going to cut this out with a razor blade. You can use scissors if you want. You can take it off. I'm just going to cut it right there on the hood with the razor blade. Alright, so believe me, when I say cutting with a razor blade, it's so easy. And before you say, oh my God, you're going to cut your paint. We're about to do a lot worse than cut the paint. Alright? But, again, I opted for the standard lines. Because like I said, right over here in this area is brace and brace. The same thing up there. These holes, like I said, are basically useless. If you want to use the bigger ones, you can. Just don't cut in the brace. Okay? So I got to cut one more side. Now, I use square lines. Okay, you see the instructions. They have it rounded. Okay, I'm not doing that. You can, but I prefer nice, square, straight lines, and you'll see why on whatever fucking step I'm on. Hopefully you're not bored out of your mind yet, but I'm telling you, this is a lot faster than the instructions. Okay, that took a couple minutes, all cut out, looking good. Now I'm going to take a black Sharpie and outline it, although I probably have a cut line in the paint. Yeah, I do. I'm going to go ahead and outline it with a black Sharpie. And I suppose you could go ahead and drill these holes now if you wanted to. But I'm going to go ahead and do that when I set the louvers on. I'll actually use a Sharpie. I'll make sure it lines up straight, mark all the holes with a Sharpie, and then drill them. Looks like this one's on a brace, so we will have to use a 3/4 to a 1/2 inch somewhere size hole saw. Let me double check. Yeah, this is sort of a brace there. If we don't need the hole saw, we won't use it, but we'll know when we get closer. Anyway, this whole process took like 2 minutes, guys. The cutting out with a razor blade. And again, you'll see that I didn't use rounded corners like the instructions show, because the instructions have you drilling a hole right here. I believe a 1/2 inch or a 3/4 hole saw hole. What they have you do. To me, it's a waste of time. So I made my edges square, and let's do it. Let's mark it up. All right, so you can see the cutout. I saved the paper, of course, just in case I need it one more time, but I shouldn't. And keep in mind that when you make this cut right here, that you're right on top of a brace. Okay, so don't cut too deep. One thing I want to address is how to cut. I'm going to be using a die grinder. Okay, that's my choice. I think this would be excellent to do with a jigsaw and a metal blade, but you still have a hard time right here because you've got brace. I see some guys in the YouTube videos using that $12 ugly handheld grinder from Home Depot. Harbor Freight. I guess it works. It's a little bit big, a little bit bulky, and it's got a 6-inch blade on it. Even if you use a thin one, of course, it's going to be very torquey and very jumpy and it's going to catch. It's going to cause a lot of problems. I have just a regular 3-inch die grinder, but I'm going to use a nibbler. My snap-on nibbler will be best, but that's not with me today. That's in the shop. I'm on my home shop today, so yeah. But either way, I'm going to use a die grinder, cut these out real quick, and you can kind of see this right here. You can see the dent in this picture. So I got a little bit of metal. I got to tweak a little bit right there. Not too bad. This side's worse. This side's pushed down quite a bit, so I'll have to tap that back up. But might be able to just primer and block it out and be good. We'll see. All right, let's start cutting. Yeah, I use a die grinder. Simple, easy, lightweight, should cut through like butter. Something that I should have mentioned was make sure you have enough grinding discs. These are the Harbor Freight pieces of junk. but they got through. And I gotta tell you, man, this die grinder was really fast. The only thing that might be faster and might be cleaner would be the jigsaw method. Last but not least, take a file. I don't recommend a grinder, especially if you have fresh paint you're trying to keep intact. I'm repainting this hood, so it doesn't matter to me. But I worry about the grinder just kind of tearing up the metal, because now it is thinner. I think the file is a better option, okay guys? So file everything down. I guess if you have a clean, good hood, touch up paint or primer, all the bare metal. But this is where we're at so far. I'm gonna file everything down, and then we'll set it on here and see what it looks like. Still have to drill the holes for it too. And I still have to do the body work. As you can see, the paint is all coming off when I use the air hose on it. So that's part of the reason for the new paint job, because this one that's on here sucks. All right, something I want to bring to your attention. I made these holes back here a little bit bigger because this thing wasn't sitting flush, okay? So I made these two bigger. Okay, don't cut your brace like I did. All right, so hold on one second. All right, so once these holes are lined up, see, you can bolt down your hoops and it'll keep everything in line. Now, as I was saying, this sits perfectly flat, okay? However, if you use the standard cut lines, like I tried, just be aware that it will sit flush, but not till it's bolted down. It's not going to fall inside the hole, okay? And you can see right here in the background the metal of the hood. So maybe you should use the optional cut line if you want it to sit nice and flat. But it is going to sit flat. It is when it's bolted down. But if you want it to sit really flat on, from the start, then go ahead and use the optional cutout. Learning lesson for both of us. All right, hopefully no one's bored out of their mind yet. So I took a hammer, a punch, and a marker, and each hole I center punched it, each one all the way down, and I marked it with a marker. You have to bolt these on, tighten them up, the windshield hoops, so that it doesn't move. I didn't put this one in, that's because I'm lazy. But it's, you see my finger there, it lines up. Everything sits nice and flat. But that's where I'm gonna do next. I'm gonna drill the holes, and then for you just want to put all the hardware in. If any of the hardware is underneath the brace, you may have to cut a 3/4 inch hole to get to the bolt, the nut, excuse me. I don't know if we need to do that or not. I'm not there yet. I'm gonna drill these, and then I'm gonna start the body work on the hood. But you got an idea what it looks like. Fits nice and flush, and looks good. What we learned today: use the optional cutout lines, and just don't cut the brace. Just cut the top of the sheet metal. I still may go ahead and cut that because I don't like how it sits. I want it to sit flat, and I'm anal like that, but it fits. I'll show you this thing when it's actually done, either on this video or on another one. Thank you. Okay, so the bodywork is all done and complete. The hood louver does require you to drill on the brace, which is the back side of the hood, at least, if I remember right, 4 1/2-inch hole saw holes. And that's strictly for the screw, and so you can apply the bolt on the back side of it. But I'm going to basically wrap this video up here. I'm not going to bolt it down right now. I still have to paint it, but we are done. And that's the end of this video. Place your comments below. Thanks for watching.